I'm Shaz Karaz, sent through time to find out why the true sequel to Terminator 2 took 35 years to arrive, and what went wrong. Have you noticed how new films of old franchises always seem to be getting darker? Not even Christian Bale, the original Dark Knight, could save this blocked toilet of a franchise with Terminator Salvation. So, let's take a look at the new Terminator film, appropriately named Dark Fate, as that's what the film has suffered at the box office, costing investors an expected loss in excess of $120 million. That's a lot to go down the toilet. I'll be back. I don't think so. To many, Terminator 2 was the perfect end to wrap things up. The slew of sequels didn't go down so well with fans, having been labelled as gimmick-laden failures.
Talk to the hand.
These films have seen the horrifyingly deadly Terminators get downgraded to the not-so-efficient Throminators, to keep the story alive by throwing people about instead of actually terminating them. Plus, the lack of James Cameron as the original director has always been to blame for the lacking of success after Terminator 2. Well, Dark Fate has returned to ignore the other films and act as a direct sequel to Terminator 2. It has James Cameron at the helm as producer, and is as demanded by fans, R-rated, to be like the first two films. So, then why did the film still flop? Spoiler alert. It all goes wrong from the beginning. A well-shown, de-aged Linda Hamilton is seen as the young Sarah Connor at the start of the film. She appears alongside the original younger-looking Edward Furlong, who is deep-faked on a body double as John Connor. In less than heroic fashion, John, the supposed future leader of the Resistance and protagonist of the first film, gets shot by another deep-faked young Arnie T-800 in a random flyby shooting. Seriously. No lie, this twisted twist of an idea came from James Cameron himself. Reconstruction.
Accept your new fate, John.
No, not like this. Think of the fans. No! This literal character assassination was done to replace John Connor's character with a female equivalent. This androgynous-looking bionic woman called Grace is now set to save humanity. Faster, stronger, and less relatable to audiences than ever before. By appearance, she isn't liquid metal, she's gender fluid, set on blurring gender role identities for all. Replacing male heroes with female counterparts has had a poor history with audiences. Remember the Ghostbusters reboot? Anyone? Anyone?
Anyone?
So, it comes as no surprise, replacing John Connor with Grace hasn't been well received by fans. At all. Killing surviving heroes from a previous film is not a good start to a sequel. Growing up, I was a huge fan of the Mortal Kombat movie, and was dismayed by the sequel that started off directly where the first film ended, and immediately killed off fan favourite Johnny Cage. Back then, they couldn't deepfake Lyndon Ashby on this guy. So who cares, right?
I'll be back.
I don't think so.
Anyway, maybe this movie mistake should be included in a special instruction manual for producers to say what not to do when making a blockbuster. It's almost like this is a sign of the times. The natural order of things is only assumed to get darker. Here's an idea. Could this be a reflection of a disillusioned public who in these times of economic uncertainty see mostly bad news on the horizon? Just take a look at the hope and optimism of films from the 1980s, where the general public were enjoying a booming economy. Or is that just my nostalgia speaking? People will always want to see positive entertainment with clear messages of hope. If anything, I'd say it's needed now, more than ever. Thankfully, there are still plenty of positive films out there that aren't just for kids. Check out films like Crow 0, 1 and 2 to see what I mean. In the unlikely event you somehow still care, here's another spoiler warning. This movie doesn't give us any sort of satisfying victorious closure. It basically ends on the conclusion that humanity will unavoidably face another Terminator war. Again. This was clearly to keep the window open for the other two cash-in sequels we were threatened with. To end, Dark Fate looks set to be the end of James Cameron's vision of a trilogy that started in 1984 and self-terminated in 2019. The lesson learned here is to not procrastinate on a sequel. Sure, you can de-age actors or whatever, but ultimately at some point the original feeling will be lost forever.
I'll be back. Again.
There's no real winding back time. Producers should take a risk with new films rather than play it safe on financially motivated franchises, because ironically, it might end up costing them $120 million. Now that's some expensive deepfake bionic shit. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm Shaz Karaz, wishing you all a most positive and productive day. Subscribe with notifications turned on to stay tuned for more, because I'll be back.
Don't worry folks, AI isn't really getting self-aware, but it still might terminate you when you lose your job to a computer.